In The Last Jedi, we see Rey attempt to convince Luke Skywalker, who exiled himself following the destruction of his Jedi Order, to return to the Resistance in order to help bring down the First Order. Luke would refuse, however, still helped by projecting himself through the Force to assist in the escape of the Resistance. Today, I will cover what would happen if Luke had agreed to physically return with Rey to join the Resistance in The Last Jedi. We begin on Act 2, where Rey and Luke clashed over the relationship that Rey had formed with Kylo Ren. While the rain poured down all around them, Rey offered Luke one more opportunity to return to the Resistance with her. One more opportunity to bring down the First Order. As Rey held the lightsaber of the Skywalkers in his face, he thought back to how he answered the call of his sister Leia when he didn't even know the relationship that the two shared. How his actions then brought the Empire one step closer to destruction. Luke believed that coming to the aid of Rey, Leia, and the Resistance would be a fool's game, but so was the war against the Empire. He decided that returning to the galaxy that he had cut himself from would spark a fire, one that would ignite the Resistance. He reached his hand out to grab the lightsaber once more. Suddenly, he heard echoes of the past call to him. He heard a woman's voice struggling to say Anakin. He heard Obi-Wan telling him that this was his first step into a larger world. Then he heard the voice of the girl standing before him. He looked up to her and made way to the Falcon. As he boarded, R2-D2 sprang back to life and ran towards Luke once more. He beeped happily as a smile emerged on Luke's face. The droid continued to beep idly until Luke had to call him down, telling him that the hologram chick wasn't the reason he was leaving. Chewbacca soon came aboard and the two shared a moment with one another. Luke embraced the Wookiee, apologizing for what happened to Han. Rey glanced back from the cockpit to see the moment, and knew that Luke coming back would change a lot more than her life. Everyone would have a moment like this eventually. As the Falcon took off into hyperspace, Luke took an opportunity to sit in the Falcon to himself. He centered himself as he did many times during the heyday of his life. He felt the state of the galaxy, and could feel all the pain and the suffering that the First Order had left in its wake. At the center of it all, he saw the vessel that he knew as Ben Solo. He could feel an even greater darkness near it. He saw that they were very close to a presence that was all too familiar. They were closing in on Leia. He soon ran to the cockpit, asking where they were headed. Rey flashed a device that she wore on her, promising that he shouldn't worry. They'll get there, and they'll be safe. As the Falcon made his way to the site of the Supremacy and the diminishing Resistance fleet, Poe Dameron waited to see if the plan that he had formed alongside Finn and Rose to shut down the hyperspace tracking of the First Order's capital ship, the Supremacy, had worked out. Leia rested aboard the Raddus, still nursing the injuries suffered during an earlier skirmish with the First Order. As the Falcon emerged from hyperspace, the situation at hand became haunting. Luke, Rey, and Chewbacca marveled at the size of the First Order fleet that chased down what remained of the Resistance. Luke had his moment of awe replaced with one of guilt once he felt that familiar presence. He slowly raised from his seat as the name slowly sounded from his mouth. Ben. Rey turned to see the word that Luke had adopted. Luke's head started shaking from side to side. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have come here. Rey jumped towards the old Jedi, telling him that it was important he was here. If Ben Solo was truly within Kylo, she needed Luke to bring him back. Rey then looked at the Resistance fleet and formulated a plan. She would tell Chewbacca to take the Falcon and go down to the Resistance fleet. Her and Luke would take the escape pods and go straight to the Supremacy. Luke glared at Rey, wondering if she had thought this plan through, but there was no other plan on the table. The pair crammed themselves into an escape pod as it launched for the Super Star Destroyer. As it landed, they were greeted by stormtroopers who were more than pleased to capture them. They were escorted to a large chamber that was shrouded in red. Sitting in the center was a large throne that supported a menacing figure. It was Supreme Leader Snoke that called out to the pair of Jedi. Ah, Jedi. The little girl and the old man. Skywalker. The day has finally come that you stand before me. The Last Jedi. I believe that there is someone who wishes to see you. As Snoke pointed behind the pair, Kylo Ren entered the room. He told Snoke that the girl was weaponless, but Skywalker carried the lightsaber that he had sought after for so long. Snoke brought the saber before him at his throne, marveling at what he considered his new trophy. Snoke then turned everyone's attention to the outside. Do you see it? That is the end of your precious resistance that you risk your life to defend. Now, Skywalker, your end is next. As for the girl, I see great potential in the power she possesses. Maybe there is potential for her. As Snoke finished his sentence, Rey pulled Kylo's saber and ran towards Snoke in a snap of anger. He simply tossed her aside like a troublesome pain. I see I was wrong about you. You have the spark of a Jedi. You will die, along with Skywalker. Snoke then called for Kylo Ren to approach Skywalker as he brought him down to his knees. Luke's eyes were closed, as it appeared he couldn't look Kylo in his eyes. But he still spoke to him. Ben, I'm sorry for what I did. I made a mistake, but it didn't have to be like this. You need to come home. There's nothing for me there. Yes, there is, Ben. You know there is. Snoke called out in anger for Luke to silence himself. He then something that sounded ritualistic as he waited for Kylo to finally kill the Jedi. Seconds before Kylo could strike his old master down, the sound of a lightsaber igniting behind him, accompanied by a blood-curdling cry in pain, turned his attention to his current master. He saw that the Skywalker lightsaber at his side had been activated. Kylo had to dodge as the saber came flying towards Luke. Rey stood in shock as she was left weaponless in a room full of guards and Kylo Ren. Luke stood down in the First Order with only a laser sword as he yelled at Rey to run and get back to the Resistance. Rey took no time as she took the elevator back down. The last thing she saw was Luke surrounded by Snoke's royal guard and Kylo Ren. She knew that she had to find the hangar and get off the Super Star Destroyer. Her fleeing led to a terrifying scene in which Finn and an unfamiliar face were about to be executed by stormtroopers. But suddenly, everything went silent. When everything was back to normal, the scenery was drastically different. The hangar had been turned to what seemed like a fiery hell fit for the world of Mustafar. Rey looked around calling out to Finn and saw him running alongside the same unfamiliar face and BB-8. She finally caught his attention as he stopped in his tracks and waited for her to come over. They were headed to a ship that allowed them to escape the burning mess. Aboard the bridge of the Supremacy, the throne room laid a mess as bodies of the Royal Guard were spread out everywhere. Kylo had awakened from the blast that had shook the ship and was greeted by General Hux. Kylo's first words to the general were about the whereabouts of Skywalker. Hux informed him that Jedi was gone once he arrived, but the escape ship for Snoke was gone. Kylo looked out the viewport of the throne room to see a small planet with escape pods drifting towards it. Skywalker's there. With the Resistance. Prepare the ground forces. Destroy him. Once and for all. That's what I think will happen if Luke returned with Rey to the Resistance in The Last Jedi. I have a part 2 ready for this, and if you guys want to see it, let me know in the comment section below, and also stay tuned for more what ifs in the future. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to press the like button and share with your friends to get them in on the conversation as well. If you haven't, subscribe to the Marauders Guild and ring the bell to be notified about whenever we upload. Until the next time, may the force of others be with you.